Hey guys, Editor Laura I guess here, and I just wanted to warn you all that this is the first video in a long time, or at all, technically, other than the karaoke videos that I've actually tried to edit. So it might not sound that great, might not, be amazing, but cut me some slack, please. Okay, see ya! Hello everybody and welcome back to a recorded video, because I felt like making a recording, because why the hell not? So today we're playing this game called, let me find the name again, because I forgot. It's called Tiny Bunny. This is a preview game. I have no clue anything about it, and I think it's in a different language right now, so let's change that. There we go. Now I can understand it. But yeah, so today we're gonna be playing this game called Tiny Bunny, and yeah, I don't know much about this, but I've just been looking for free games on on Steam, and this was one of them that I found, so we're gonna play it. So yeah, let's go ahead. Oh, that's a cool effect. Let's go ahead and new game. This is a free horror game on Steam if you guys want to check it out. Let's see here. I don't know anything about this game, to be honest. I just found it, so the wind clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, in the air. They were shouting and laughing and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own, the creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back with its hollow eyes, rusting, whizzing, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves there was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was just my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Oh, there's a little raccoon or something in the window. Oh, the art is so good. Hey, put away your book. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look at how slouched you are. I didn't protest and put the book about Conan and the Barbarian aside. I probably said, if I ever say things wrong, it's okay. I was stuck in a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Olia had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic, she almost looked like your typical girl from commercials. You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make the porridge disappear. Hazy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Caustia, I don't know how to say that, Odyssey. I love that show. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is, or how cold the black forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. What did I just say? I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this, carved on the other side of the table? Karina. That's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal, damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No, she's been in a bad mood lately. I imagine her being my age, sitting under this table. I wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Or the thick forest? I imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed, where Olya sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice. Taiga is a special place. Taiga is a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you are a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late night, without smashed dishes and accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remembered listening in on one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma, getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket, and she called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet, patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time she was alive, only all the photos were gone. Glass-covered pictures with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Olya was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like a sly woodland critter. I turned my gaze toward the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of the frost formed a picture on the glass. Olya, look, it's a fox! Where? It looked almost like those optical illusions thingies they put on the back of student notebooks. Oh, it is a fox. I thought it was a raccoon. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle. Not outside, on the window. Look, here's the nose and here's... Hey, eat up. Yes, just a moment. I don't see anything. Hurry up. There's not much left. Ah, there it is! But it still doesn't look like one. And I'm not telling you it does. Nuh-uh. It does. Stop it. These kids, I swear. Now I couldn't see the fox either. They changed the glass. Because it was a fox. I liked the fox. Anyway, it disappeared. Went away. Only the frosty patterns similar to stretched out nettle leaves kept creeping up the glass. needle leaves, I think. Nettle leaves? I don't know. My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. Mom would always ask jokingly, "Come on, shave it off, it stings." This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Olya always covers her ears whenever she hears something like, "What's the point in all this?" through the wall. "It's all for your sake," Dad would reply, "for the sake of our family." I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. D-I-V-O. I don't even want to finish it. Oh. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart, taken into two different families. "Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window." "You and your owl talk again." "You said you believed me just yesterday." "Has anyone seen my car keys?" "I remember leaving them on the windowsill." "Right. Maybe you did, maybe not. You're a grown man, a father of two, and still." "Karina, stop. Please stop. Just let me get ready in peace." "Your keys are in the basket near the phone." "Well, thank you very much." "Anton, stop making a martyr of yourself and finish eating already." And the owl?" "There was no owl." "But there was one. It had giant glowing eyes." Olya sprung from the chair and placed her eyes on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers the size of an apple each. "Last year you had a what? A babai? A babai in your closet, and now this owl?" But I saw it." Olya shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support. "Have you thought about befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice? Don't bully our girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's still little." Olya pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing the keys he'd just found. A minute passed and the theme song from a Disney movie echoed through the house. It was stored on incredibly worn-out cassette tape, which Dad already had to glue together once. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example, but how do you fix a relationship? Mom moved into the living room, and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Olya had trouble sleeping ever since we moved into this house. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball under a blanket. Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped to take her mind off all the troubles we had with the move and our parents. Oh. And then Olya said she saw the giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Olya refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that this owl was just one of her nightmares. After tonight, I was unsure. What to make of my little sister's words? What to think of it myself? Can nightmares be infectious? Just last night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect in my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisted hallways that led to a classroom full of kids. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and pairs of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if some completely different creatures were looking at me from behind the flat black silhouettes. Their cruel glares, filled with icy sneers, made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down, stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school can burn for all I care. I just wished for anything to happen to it. It doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who were just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous one. Felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider or some sort of monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olya begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number," or "Anton isn't around." Anton is not around. I imagine my future classmates lying in their beds just like me, listening to the howls of the invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill, mumbled with a TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Cries from a baby, I think. Our current house, though I couldn't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easygoing through the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners, on the closet cobwebs, and under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Sometimes was just watching me from every corner. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my deceased family with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking, rusty drains were moaning, the attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody, and then I realized I was, in fact, hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed in with the music of the wind, of the creaking old house, and my thoughts too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like something is playing it out there amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Oh, I do get to do stuff in this. Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out, with the dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basked in moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly, the music had stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, and I could swear, piercing me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. Oh, that's creepy. It glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch-black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like the bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back towards the bed. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guest move and scrape around, looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into bed and covered myself with the blanket as fast as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered at the funeral, my grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets, and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure. And now, lying under the blanket and listening to squeals and howls, I repeat the same words. On the island of Bayan, underneath the blemished sun, in the sea of color blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair, for the spawn from the devil's lair, to feast and always leave alone God's faithful servant named Anton. Evil leave this house must, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hangman. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sound scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawing at the wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remembered him staring at the forest intently, as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them. I drilled the door with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of darkness, and then the doorknob twitched slightly. Then it turned halfway, once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob twisted once more and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear. My wet fingers clutched the bed. The door creaked open. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness writhed inside the carnivore's mouth of a doorway. Tony. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squealing with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. Tony! My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, Tony, you asleep? My sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief. Oh yeah, I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Oya frowned and stuck her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry. It's there again, staring at me. Shoo her away, Tony, please. I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Oya down. It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you. Oya sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself? I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video. Disney movie, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Disney movie have a prince and I have this scary bird? That question took me by surprise. Alright, let's watch this other Disney movie. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? What studied me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon? The darkness was clinging to the window, and it wouldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair. Tony, you coming? Yes, just a moment. Oh shit, hello. That wasn't the sister, I don't think. I don't think that was the sister. Is Tony dead? Did Tony just die? Oh shit, ooh, animation! That's why I didn't want to laugh at Oya and her owl in the morning. Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone else around here. So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled from a silly thought that our morning guest could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet, under the table, behind the curtains where Oya always hides. Tony, come here! I felt like kettlebells were tied to my feet, but still dragging them toward the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars, worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. Hello? The senior officer who wore a grim expression nodded. A boy had gone missing yesterday. His name's Vova. Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman held a photograph to me. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile. No, I haven't. Are you sure? Look closely. Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house. Well, maybe you've seen him from the window. That's right. Your windows look straight at the forest, don't they? The window. No, I haven't seen anything. I see. He sounded tired, but his stare, long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of guilt, which his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the cracks in the ceiling which I haven't noticed before for some reason. How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it? Bit by bit. It's just our little daughter misses the city a lot. Misses the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well? Yes, everything is all right, thank you. The policeman pierced through me once more. One more time with his gray eyes. My head started spinning. Can I help you somehow? I asked. I asked that in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy and to end the unpleasant conversation sooner. Now that I think about it, you look just like one of my nephews, little fella. He's a witty boy around your age, wears the same type of goggles. Always engrossed in reading those mysterious novels. Oh. Told me he wants to enroll in police school when his family visited this summer. Wanted to help other people, just like me, see? I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me. You know what? Little boys like you should stay at home. Steer away from trouble. The times have changed so much. Mom interjected in a cold voice. You don't say. Ah, well then. What grade are you in, Tony boy? 6th. Have you made any friends here so far? Not yet. I'll be going to school for the first time after the break. Ah, then I'll leave you my number, just in case. Call me if you have any new info. The policemen were gone along with their shadows, the smell of cheap cologne, and the photo of a smiling boy. His face still stood before my eyes. I wondered what it was like for him being all alone there. For some reason, I thought of the forest swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? And what would my parents do if I had gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other, like they always do, and forget about me, eventually? Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest? Seems like it, poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police UAZ drove off toward the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splitting off old painting from the windowsill. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I've read this summer. Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, bam! Solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policemen's footprints that led to the forest, and then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy, and I'll get a reward. Olya will be so happy. And not only Olya, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll save us from the D word. I fantasized about buying Olya a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself and a whole box of Kinder Surprise. When was the last time our parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. My dad had lost his job at that time. There's that annoying song about it. I had little to no idea what the accountant's job like. I had little to no idea what was the accountant's job like. They count money, I think. Neighbors used to envy us. But nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had money to afford sweets, and Dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olya. Sometimes I gave her my share, too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out, looking for clues. I'm going outside! Yeah, right. You want the police to go around with your photograph next? The forest is so thick. What if the boy got snatched by the wild animals or something even worse? Even worse echoed through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Did you hear what I said? Or should I repeat myself? Better go pack your school bag or play with Olya. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over and Mom had the last word. I has a choice. I don't know where this leads. We're going to Anton! I'll whip you if you make a single step out that door. Fine then. The dark, stuffy closet. Mom says it smells like night mice, but how would she know their smell? She hates when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself on the freshly sharpened axe. And Olya can't even be lured close to it. She thinks Babai is living there. I tried to help her fight her fears once. I opened the door and turned on a dim lamp so she would see there was nothing but cobwebs, Dad's tools, and scratched walls. She still didn't believe me. And I liked to hide in the closet and listen to Olya count outside. 1, 2, 3. Better hide from me! And then drag her feet on the creaking floorboards, hoping that she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped monster's den. Let's open the fridge. There's so many things to turn back. Grandma kept ice cream for me and Olya there, but now I could only see meat bits for soup and clumped together pelmeni? Pelmeni, I don't know what that is. I grew to hate them already. Okay, where do I go next? What do I do? What's this? Oh! My parents prohibit me from making long-distance calls, but from time to time, I really want to hear my old friends. Sometimes I would just pick up the phone, listen to the low hum of the zoomer and the distance crackling, imagining the wind howling in the ice-laden chords. What else do I do? Anton, get your ass out of the closet immediately. I need to distract Mom somehow, or I'll get scolded and my ass whipped, but with Dad's leather belt. Okay. Oh, okay. So I think I'm supposed to be finding a way to get the mom. It was difficult to lie to Mom, but there was no other way for me to run away from home. Mom, something's wrong with the TV. The picture is dim and there are stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted. Ah, you're killing me here. So have you had enough of shooting those stupid ducks now? Told you the kinescope would go dim because of your console. Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh? Maybe it's just the settings. Please go see for yourself. Strange, it worked fine this morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it. Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Olya's room. I opened the front gate and went into the field, careful so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half of the distance toward the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly terrors. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash. The aftertaste was still there. Distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me, and a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olia. The time reached its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the forest's piney stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olia turned to stone listening to them. But then always came the ringing silence. Out apartment became numb a couple days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spending time together. Almost like all of it was in a previous life. When they kissed with Olia present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day, it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if a fire broke up and our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From the people with dead cold eyes who sometimes visited us in our previous home? The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground and everything. And somewhere far away a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the oncoming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There was only me. There was only me, the white field and the wind that was whipping up icy dusts and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and carnivorous needles froze into the ice. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungered semi-dark. Should I call the police? Their senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. He was also always anxious, with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Would this mitten help them to find the lost boy? Vova! I heard a distant shout. Looked like it came from the river. Vova! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vova! Resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there, behind the trees, hiding. Vova! I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still, something was unsettling about that figure. Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally toward the ground. What? don't see anything. It's blackness. What's there? I don't see anything. There's no one there. Just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. A shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. I looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination, after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long moment. I think it wasn't imagining, but whatever. This is a really good story, though. My muscles were tightly sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket, and I'd sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. I feel like I'm gonna die, but let's take it. I decided to take the lonely mitten from the branch. Oh, that was a bad idea. Oh, shit. Vova! Uh-oh. Run away. A shout rumbled across the field and dissolved into the distance. No echo, no hope for a reply. I'm gonna get jump scared. I stepped toward the bristly trees and tried to climb. It didn't budge. I pulled harder, the branch cracked and the mitten tore off, landing in my hand and squishing sound. All too heavy, wet. I squeezed it without thinking and making something dark spill from it, forming a tiny string between the mitten and the snow. Steam rose from the snow pile. Blood. I froze in place, stunning my palms in disgust. Right. The sound of cracking branches invaded the silence. I didn't think twice before running away. Someone chased me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll drag into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was one more voice, probably one of reason. It gave me strength, spurred me on. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. It felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked in freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot, a wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bush, from twisted pines, from under the windfell. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was in a nightmare. The snowy clearing became vicious like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from the mushy trap just to be caught in a new one, even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror, realizing that this wasn't snow. Someone or something in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my legs was gone. My boots slipped out from one hole and my soles were hard on the surface again. I reached a clear path. With one jump from there, I ran to my house. Its gloomy facet didn't look threatening now. That house was the line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and the creatures that were hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in the front yard and Mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled on the doorknob and it obediently gave way. Close the door, thank you. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it behind the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing breaths reached into the house and crashed at me in waves. It smelled of pines and sweat. Mom peeked out of the kitchen, chastised. I can't read! And chastised. 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 Fuck. Me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you never to slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone. The breath was too. If there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring, and with it the last bit of strength I had left my body too. My legs gave way. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold mask of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked the same as before all those quarrels. She finally saw my condition, my wet pants plastered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you, too? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like when I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. My mom regained her composure fast and put her on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel. Her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. Be honest, did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret? There was someone chasing me. I thought... I stuttered as soon as I started explaining myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned toward me and sniffed my clothes like a beast, searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked into the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant, and she covered her mouth with her hand. Look! Over there! At the fence! My heart started thumping as if I became prey once more and my pursuers were following me in the field. I could swear that I've heard something scratch at the door, just like in my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger, and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window, facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in the snow through the icy winter patterns on the glass. Dogs. Just a small pack of strays with no name and owner, barely reminding me of hungry monsters that live on the edge of the forest. Oh boy, were you scared of them? I think they'd rather be scared of you, Anton. They were chasing me like a bunny. And what if they're rabid? The smile had slowly disappeared from Mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was for first time seeing them. What if they attack Olia? Mom? I wish your dad could just shoot them all. Mom! Look, they're alive! Huh? What? Are they your friend or foe after all? Make up your mind. You're not a little kid anymore. Mom sighed in annoyance and felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb-ridden corner. Well, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid strays. And what for? What use do I have for this? mitten. Of course! A dark and sticky mitten that belonged to the lost boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I was clutching it the whole time. That's my trump card as a detective! I hurried to present this clue to my mom. Mom, look! This is Volva's mitten. That boy the police were asking about in the morning? It's drenched in blood. I found it hanging on a tree. I can show where... Let's call the police right away. Like the officer had told us to. Mom, look! Ew! A shadow of doubt slowly crept onto Mom's contoured face, as if she was trying to remember something distant, like someone tries to remember their dream, but the images slip away. Stop it this moment! Ulya would go insane if she hears you. She already has trouble sleeping and whines all the time, and you joke around like this. At the moment, I realized the mitten was actually wet from snow. There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment. Come here, my boy who cried wolf. Oh, don't just stand there. Come take your pills. A golden-colored pill reminiscent of a dead wasp fell into my palm. I already took one during breakfast. Don't talk over me. I told you to stay home and Dad would have given you a good whipping for that. Come on, take it or you won't be able to sleep at night. And you have school tomorrow. So I had to swallow the bitter medication, drinking it down with similarly awful water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Volva's mitten. Maybe it wasn't Volva's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten at all. Just like the forest monsters, and Ulya's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect, or my overexerting brain didn't let fear inside anymore. Serenity washed over me, bringing yawning indifference along with it. Anton, you done. See, you can do it when you try. Take off your coat. Are you asleep? No, Mom. I was just thinking. What about, I wonder? It's just something silly. Mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes, and if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son and not some doppelganger that came from the forest. Is everything all right? You had the exact same expression when the policeman asked you about the window. I'm all right, Mom. She heaved a deep sigh. Fine. It seemed like the house had changed. The sofa's fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared on the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs also felt different, dimmer and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had a different taste. A melody from a Disney movie could be heard from the upper floor. Ulya was done rewatching her favorite Disney movie episodes and switched to other tapes. I know I probably won't get copyrighted for just saying the names of the Disney movies, but I'm too chicken to deal with Disney, so not deal with Disney. I just don't want to even tempt that, so I'm just gonna say Disney movie right now. Anyway, I slowly changed into my home clothes, I slowly changed into my home clothes, stopped before the sink and studied my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot the difference puzzles. Then I went upstairs. Jafar and Lagos, I forgot the name of the bird, voices died down. I walked past Ulya's bedroom and slipped into my own. One of the drawers was empty. I hid the mitten there. Where are you, Vova? This simple action drained the last bit of strength from me. I sat on the bed, and only then I noticed there was someone behind my curtains. My tired hand dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to contort as if the wind was blowing the walls out like a pair of sails. The room's corners bent and undulated. The only stable thing in the whole room was the figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy piece of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor, just like a servant of sorts. Oya? Who else could be standing there? I stood up and licked my dried lips. Yeah, Oya, it's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains, as if there was a thicker layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached towards the curtains. But beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang in the fields with a chorus of voices. For a second I wanted to return to the bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtain, knowing full well they were looking back at me. They're looking without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Plastic rings rustled against the holder while I pulled open the curtains. Gotcha! I knew it was you from the beginning. A blindingly bright halo lit up Oya's head, with a setting sun as the background. My sister was shining. When she was just a baby, Dad always used to say she was shining with happiness. I always retorted, but Dad, she's not some flashlight. But I brought her to the window one day, and sunlight poured on her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a child woven from light. I saw everything. Oh, really? What did you hide? She was just like my mom when she was little, before she put her sad mask of tiredness and switched to her commanding tone of voice. It's nothing, just... Oya ran up to the table, her eyes round, and asked, You stole something and hid it here? Are you a thief? What? No, don't be stupid. I didn't steal anything. A clear image came to mind, the mitten hanging from a tree branch. What if I did steal it after all? From the forest, from the tilted figure standing behind the black trees. Oya could be selfish and stubborn when she wanted. Then show me. Swear that you won't tell anyone, then I'll show you. Oya swore. Oya wore a plotting smile. I swear on Mom's heart. An oath she heard in one of those movies about pioneers we've watched. Don't say things like that. Oya nodded and made a gesture with her hand, locking her mouth with an imaginary key. She was filled with curiosity that was splashing in her giant eyes. I opened the drawer and Oya leaned in, holding her breath. It looked like there was not just a simple mitten, but some sort of exotic critter. Is this someone's mitten? She said that as if she couldn't understand what she saw. A certain boy lost it and got lost himself. Now you do understand how dangerous it is for kids to wander in the forest, right? He must have been really cold out there. Will they find him? They will. The police are going house to house showing his photo to everybody. Oya traversed the room with care, pressed her tiny palms against the window. And why are they going to houses and not the forest? Are they scared? The question caught me off guard. The police aren't scared of anything. Yeah, right, flashed my clouded mind. Did they really check every nook and cranny where darkness cold and whispers of icy branches dwell? If that's the case, how did they miss the mitten? Or did it appear later? For me? I changed the topic, as if trying to get Olya as far away as possible from the forest thicket. We may get a reward if I go and find this boy myself. And a lot of stuff like Field of Wonders. Sounds cool, right? Olya wasn't listening to me. She was piercing the forest with incredibly adult eyes, uncharacteristic for her. What if the owl got him? Nonsense! An owl? An owl won't be able to lift a human. But you know what? I was picking my words with utmost care. I forced them out of my overexerted brain. Stay away from the forest. I think it's, how should I put it? It's cursed or something. Just like in a fairy tale? No, not like that. More like in that spooky tape Mom and Dad were hiding from us. Olya shivered and stole a glance at the window. I saw you running away. Someone was chasing you. No, it's just I was hurrying back home so Mom won't be worried. As I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile. It was so easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind and her small fire would be gone. You're lucky. Mom won't even let me go outside. I'm like a princess in the tower. Can't go anywhere. I'll die from boredom here. You're wrong. No one has ever died of boredom. And you have me and your cartoons, and Mom and Dad will be good to each other soon. You know what? I wish for on my next birthday? I'd wish for Mom and Dad to turn into children so we could go and play together like we used to. Yeah, and if you'd make them as small as bugs, we could place them into a little box. Olya giggled and tugged at my sleeve. Tony, let's go watch Aladdin, or Disney movie. Ah! Fatigue won over my desire to be with my little sister. I washed over by some sort of heinous apathy. I'm too tired. I don't want to. Come on. It's so boring alone, and Mom is always busy. We can pick a cartoon you haven't seen before. I know all of our tapes by heart at this point. Whoops, wrong person. I know all of our tapes by heart at this point. Not all of them. You haven't watched Peter Pan. I'm just gonna say the names at this point. Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it? And so much happens after that. Let's go, let's go! Maybe a bit later. Should I tell you how it ends? Let's leave that for tomorrow. I won't tell you tomorrow. I know. Let's play hide and seek. No, Olya. Then let's draw me a dino. Olya, please. Draw it. Will you leave me alone already? I blurted it out without thinking, and then I was immediately taken aback. I'd never screamed at my little sister like that. Olya stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling, a precursor to tears, my chest seething with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? I hurried to prevent Olya from crying. All right, you win. Let's go watch cartoons for a bit. I don't wanna. I came up to her, putting my hand on her soft little head. Let's go. Let's go watch Peter Pan. Oh, you'll fall asleep again. I smiled at and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and felt bottomless. I promise I won't. And I'll draw you a full Triceratops later. Hooray! Triceratops. Triceratops. Well, close enough. Oya rubbed her eyes with the sleeve of her pajamas, and a shining smile returned to her face. I'll go ask Mom for condensed milk and bread, and you'll rewind the tape. The bread is fresh, just how you like it. All right, just be careful not to spill the milk, or you'll be yelled at again. Wanna bet I won't spill it? The tape is somewhere in the nightstand. Look for it. Oya disappeared into the doorway, and I dragged my feet into the neighboring room. What time is it? Alrighty, so it is midnight here, so I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can save or something. Save. Empty slot. Okay, so I'm gonna save there and pick up later. I'm gonna pick up next time right where I left off, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. I don't know when it will come out, but I am recording this Monday, so we'll see. Hopefully it comes out like maybe Wednesday. I think I'm gonna take tomorrow to edit, and I will also be streaming tomorrow. Not that you'll really see this by then, but yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!